Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I'm gonna start a project that I knew was gonna happen eventually. I just didn't know when. The more and more that I deal with used parts off of these bikes that we're working on these days, the more and more I see of the issue that I'm running into here. And I'm just going to cover a little bit of it, and then we're going to go into how we're going to fix it and the actual fixing of it. So let me get you overhead and we'll take a look at what I got here. Okay, what I'm talking about here is the increased carnage that I see in flywheels, or not flywheels, but the crankshafts. And it's almost always on the crank or the flywheel side. And in this case, this one here had been beaten on so bad that I had to take a file and file it in order to get the nut off of it. This is just insane. I don't know what some people have against buying a puller. I know what they're doing. They're taking a screwdriver like this and sticking it behind the flywheel and then whacking the crankshaft and popping that flywheel off. Only they're not using a plastic hammer. They're using one of these. Yes, it gets it off, but my goodness, it's just insane. If you ever think that you're going to have to work on these things, it completely ruins the left side of the crankshaft. Yes, a lot of times it can be fixed by machine work, but that machine work comes at a price. So do yourself a favor, buy one of these. They're 10 bucks. And it saves the end of your crankshaft. It's so much easier than trying to do that. And I'm just seeing more and more of it now. And I think it's because of the age of the bikes. And I know that a lot of people back in the day didn't have a flywheel puller, and they may have not even been that readily available. I had one very early on, primarily because I worked at a bike shop, and I was able to buy them through the bike shop. But I really don't remember whether or not they were readily available through sources. You know, of course, we didn't have the internet, so you had to go to the bike shop probably to get them. But anyhow, it's not good on the flywheel either, because getting behind there and holding up on that, holding pressure on it while you pop that is not good on the flywheel either. But let me get well, let's see. I just want to show you the end of this. I'm going to have to show it on a different camera here so I can get you closer. As you can see, the end of the flywheel here, like I said, I had to file this down so that I could even get the nut off. And what it's done, not so bad in this case, but I think once I put this in the lathe, this center, when the crankshaft was originally turned, you're going to find that it's damaged also to a point where it's no longer concentric. But probably the threaded portion of this is bent one way or the other. That's usually what I find, not just that it's mushroomed over. Okay, I'm just going to show you some of the things that I've got here. Every one of these is damaged in one way or the other. This one here, again, I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see, but you can see the end of the crankshaft here. It's all flattened out around the edge here, and the hole in the center is deformed. So you won't be able to put this back between centers to true up your crankshaft. Granted, you can do it from the bearing surface, I just prefer to do it the way the machine was made. But this is because of a different, probably an arm puller or something like that was used. It had a flat area on the end instead of the point that goes into it. So the improper puller probably used on that one. Other than this is a pretty nice crankshaft. But you look around on the other end and I've got damage here too. Again, I may have to show you this on a close-up, but you can see here where it was either dropped or hit with a hammer, and I had to go back in and once I got the nut off, of course this completely tore up the nut, taking it off, and I had to go back in and with a die and clean the threads back up, but it really needs more work than that. But that's about all you can do at this point. As you can see, it was damaged. I don't know whether it was hit with a hammer or dropped, but it's not in very good shape. And this end here, maybe a little closer look. You can see it was just the improper puller. It was probably an automotive type puller, and it just it ruins them. It ruins them. You got to have the right thing, the right tool for the job. Okay, this is, I don't see any real damage on this one. This is a AT1 Yamaha. It's for the electric dynamo start, so it's got a different, it actually has a bolt that goes in it. So this one has got a very good clutch side. So this is probably the one I'm getting ready to use on the AT1MX, only I've got a brand new magneto side. So this will be going on this one. And I don't know, probably been a couple months ago, I ran onto several of these, brand new. This is a brand new one. They were listed at a different part number, and they were consequently very cheap. Somebody was trying to get rid of them. And I knew what they were, so I bought them. So I've run into too many of these lately that are just beat to crap, and you got to get the easy fix when you can, because later on I'm going to tell you and show you what the not so easy fix is. Okay, so we've discussed those two. Now look at the end of this one. You can see right here, somebody whacked it good right here. Let me get you a closer shot. You see the end of that one? It's just somebody hit her good with a hammer, and that's ruined it as far as setting up a flywheel, or setting up a crankshaft rather. This is, I've got to go in, I'll have to trim off the outside of the nub on here and clean up the hole with a single point tool. You can't use a drill bit or anything like that. You have to go in at an angle with a single point carbide cutter and cut that very delicately, and it's got to be supported. And let's see, I think, yep, this one too was damaged here on the end. Again, somebody whacked this one with a hammer and just caused, more damage than you can almost repair. I've gone again and just used a die on it, cleaned it up the best I could. But why should you have to do this? Let's take another look here. This one here This one is probably one of the better ones I've seen come across in a long time. Okay, this one was actually the one that came out of the CT1 Yamaha that I'm working on now. So this one here I'm going to be able to use as is. And on this one, again, it was beat on so bad that I had to set it up in the lathe, cut the outside, and cut the center with a single point tool to get my center back in. This one looks okay on this side. Now what am I talking about on centers? This is another one. You can see that it was beat on also, and I've had to go in there and repair it. But this one needs some more work. But what I want to show you is when they make these, you put it in one center here and the other center right here. And that's how it's held in the lathe. And then all this other, this area here and the bearing surface, seal surface, is all cut. And probably the taper also, and the threads are all cut while it's held center to center in the lathe. And every one of them's got it. This is a Yamaha, this is a Suzuki, all the same stuff. Okay, let me get you back overhead. Okay, again, this is the one I'm working on now, and you might say, well, just go get another one. I wish it was that easy, I really do. But they're hard to find. I have had some luck finding some NOS parts, but I wouldn't pay $100 for these. I didn't even pay half of that for these. And these, just because somebody didn't know what they had, and the part number was listed wrong. So I got several of these, but I just lucked onto it. So the next issue I've got here is this one was, it's seen better days. It was set in a lot of water. You can see a lot of pitting. None of that stuff concerns me. That does not present a problem. Even here, this is okay. If I have to, I can come in here and take this and clean this up a little bit, but I won't have to. This is okay. This end of the crankshaft actually looks good. The bearing surface and the seal surface looks good, and it's this side again that is the problem. If you look right here, this is the seal area. No seal will ever seal on this. It's too rough. The bearing area seems okay. It's okay. So what we've got to do is repair this. And there's several ways you can do this. You can cut this down on the lathe and go back and spray weld it, turn it back down. It's just a seal area, so it's nothing critical as far as the only critical dimension is, a basic size. It's not that critical, and the fact that it can't have any voids or anything in it for the seal to lose its seal. So you can spray weld it, turn it back down. Some people, I think, put speedy sleeves on them. Hey, that's actually a good repair. It sets up a little higher, but there again, it's not critical, and more than likely that needs to be put on after your bearing goes on, because you probably won't be able to get it on over that unless you cut this down. What I'm going to elect to do is make a sleeve from stainless steel, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut this down to just about here into the bearing surface, and Then I'm going to make a sleeve out of stainless steel and press it on. It'll be an interference fit, and then it'll be pressed on with a Loctite product that will hold it in place. Probably you don't even need that, but I'll probably use it just in case. And then I'll machine it back down and just clean it up with crocus cloth or whatever I have to do to blend everything back in. But there again, that's if you're buying the machine time, you're probably looking at a couple $100 for someone to do that, maybe even more. I don't know. Several years ago, I started acquiring the machine work or the machines just so that I could do a lot of the repairs that I'm talking about here. But anyhow, no reason dragging this out any longer than it is. Let's get to work and see if we can fix this. Okay, we're getting this set up. I think I'll go with that. I've got a piece of 1-inch stainless steel in here, and I'm going to go ahead and drill it out to 7/8, and then we'll cut down the outside of the flywheel, crankshaft flywheel area, and to accept the bushing that we make here. And we've got the crank half in here, and we're trying to get it centered. I think we'll roll with that. Looks good. Looks like we've got 120 thousandths to go yet. I think I'm going to have to change my tool bit. Let me do that. And we've got about 10 thousandths to go. Okay guys, I'm over at the press. We've got our sleeve made right here, and I think we're good on our distance. And what we're going to do is we're going to press it on, and then we'll have to turn down the outside of the sleeve, and a little bit off the nose too. First thing I'm going to do, I've just came from cleaning them good with acetone, and now I'm going to use a little Loctite for use with press fit. Doesn't take much, and it's not going to set up until it's without air. Everything squared up. It's tight. Okay, and there's our sleeve, and now we've got to machine it down. Okay guys, back over at the bench. There's our sleeve. It's on there, it's Loctited on. It's quite a bit larger. I'm not sure exactly how much larger, but right here we got a lip now. So I guess I can kind of tell you right here about where we're at. About 890 or 984, and then the sleeve is measuring just a little over 1 inch. So got 20 some thousandths to take off, and what we'll do is I'll have to set it back up in the lathe again and get it as square as I can, and I'll be setting everything off of this surface here, because we want to get that surface the same as this surface. So there'll be a little bit that comes off of the front here, probably 1/8 of an inch, something like that, and it'll be rolled, it'll be tapered. But it does have to be exactly the same size as this, because the bearing has got to go on. So it's imperative that we get it set up good and square, so that we're not taking anything off this, we're only removing from here. So it's just, this video is getting a little long, so I think we're going to have to call it quits on this one and do a two-parter on it. So there you have it guys. We've got, it's probably a little over halfway done. Probably another hour and a half, something like that for me, to finish that up. And Everything's gone real good so far. I think it's going to be successful, but we've still got to cut her down to size. So we've got quite a bit of room yet for error if we happen to have any. One thing I wanted to let everybody know today, I got my rule book for the land speed trials record. I know it's a 2020 book. They don't have the new ones out yet. They tell me out there that the rules really don't change that often, and a new book's coming out. Gosh, it'll probably be, who knows, by the time I get out there anyway. But anyhow, I can build the bike according to the rules. And I guess that's it. This one has just gotten too long, and I've got to make a two-parter out of it. That's all I can do. So hang in there. I'll have her done here in another day or two, and we'll have another episode on it. So hey, thanks for going on the ride, and we'll see you next video.